Hello, my name is Sean Sperry, and in this short video, we are going to do another demo of using Spectrum Protect Plus for online services to do data protection for Salesforce Online. What we're going to do is we're going to change our pick list associated with a particular field in an object and thus update the records and then change our mind and restore things using the backup back to the way they were before we made the changes. So let's go in and take a look and give that a try. Okay, so here we are in Spectrum Protect Plus for online services for Salesforce. And what we're going to do before I make this change to the pick list is I'm going to go ahead and start a backup. And this is so if anything were to go wrong, I have the latest and greatest to be able to restore from. Obviously, if you were going to do this, you'd want to do this in a development or a sandbox instance. Let's pause the video and wait while that backup continues. Okay, so my backup has completed, and just to while we're here looking at the dashboard, you can point to the various backup times and get information about the backup. I have a very small organization here, but as you can see, my latest backup, it's November 16th for me, has finished, and that is the finish time, 08:48. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Salesforce instance, and I'm going to go to my object manager, and I'm going to go to accounts and fields and relationships. And the pick list that I am going to modify, just for the sake of doing an example, is the industry pick list. And I'm picking that one for a specific reason. It has no field dependencies or validation rules associated with it, so it's a pretty generic field with a pick list associated with it. And for my example, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this apparel pick list value from the instance. Salesforce or from the organization. Salesforce is asking me, do I want to continue? I'm going to say, yes, I do. I really don't want that. And now it's asking me what I want to do with all of the records that contain that pick list value. And I'm going to go ahead and replace those records with a blank value and click on Save. Now, the Salesforce Object Manager is kind enough to go out there, and when you make this change, go out there and update. In addition to removing apparel from the pick list values, it's kind enough to go out there and update all of the records with the new value that I picked, which is in this case blank. Now, assuming that I made a mistake, what I'm going to do is I am going to go here to compare on the Spectrum Protect Plus for Online Services dashboard. And what you can see here is that we can compare objects, metadata, or compare objects with the current Salesforce data. So the difference between these two is this compare object here is going to compare the two different backup jobs. This is going to compare a backup job with the current state of the Salesforce environment. I'll go ahead and click on Next here. And in order to do my comparison, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the latest backup that I just took, which is this 848 one here. And the object that I made a change to is this account object. So I'm going to go ahead and click on compare and let the comparison run. Now, you'll note in this compare tab, there are also three tabs down here at the bottom that lets you look at the results of the compare. And the reason that this is two separate operations is because these operations might take a little time to run. And so I'm going to click on the results for the comparison that I just ran, and you'll note that it is still running in the background. Well, this completes. We'll go ahead and pause the video again and let the comparison complete. Okay, so that compare has finished, and for me that didn't take very long because this is a very small organization that I'm working with here. Obviously, if you're in your sandbox or your environment, it might take a little longer. But as you can see in this account comparison, what I have here is that two changes were found from the live Salesforce data to the backup I compared it to. And if I click on this little restore button here, what you'll see is I'll have a preview of what the records that changed and what can be restored. I want to go ahead and assume, just for the sake of this demonstration, that I changed my mind and I want those pick list values back. And so I'm going to go ahead and restore all of those records. And for the sake of performance, I'm going to go ahead and deactivate all the triggers, flows, workflow rules, and processes and validation rules because I'm assuming those are already done. And I'm going to go ahead and overwrite those two records in the restore. I'll go ahead and restore the child objects if they don't exist, but given the change I made, I'm not expecting there to be any child objects that I need to restore, and I'm going to not restore the audit fields. I'll go ahead and run the restore now, and we'll go to history, and you can see here in a second that if I had made a mistake, this restore job will have started and I'll be restoring the field data to those records that were changed due to my pick list changed. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video just for a second while that restore runs, and we'll come back when it's done. Okay, so my restore has finished and I have put those two records back. Let's just go take a look at those records in the sales module or app, and I'll go to accounts, and I happen to know that those two accounts were Designer Sneaker Outlet and Burlington Textiles. So if I click on those, you can see that the record has indeed been restored and my industry is now apparel. Now, of course, if I wanted to put the pick list back to the way it was, I need to go edit it and add apparel back to the pick list. But I'll just leave that to you since that's more Salesforce exercise than it is a backup exercise. So that's an example of how you can, in a development environment, restore changed records. I hope you found this video useful, and I look forward to seeing you in another video.